My name is Rafael Albarracin. In this lesson, I'm gonna teach about relative clauses. The proficiency level of the students is B1.1. The grade is second accurate. In this lesson, we have 4 TEFL objectives. The first objective is that students will be able to recognize and identify connectors. The other objective is that students be able to perform conversations more fluent, and another objective is that students be able to identify different types of relative clauses and improve their ways of writing. So now I'm gonna explain a little bit about the materials that I'm gonna use for the lesson. First of all, I'm gonna show you the materials that I'm gonna use. In this lesson, I'm gonna use, for example, flashcards. Yes, as you can see, we have 3 types of flashcards. Also, I'm gonna use a lesson plan. This is my lesson plan number 4. As you can read here, lesson plan number 4. Also, I'm gonna use a board, and I have some markers and tape. Also, I have some cards. Here I have some cards. I have worksheets. Also, I have a little card. Here is a card. So now I'm going to explain why I'm going to use this kind of material. So I'm going to use flashcards because this type of materials is very helpful to teach, since students can associate the grammar context with the pictures, and I can use a picture to present one example. Well, now I'm gonna tell a little bit why I'm gonna use some cards. Here I have some questions, and students need to use English as a second language, and they have to read, for example, what is a camera? A camera is an instrument that, or where, or which. They have to identify which connector is very helpful to define camera. Now I have another type of card, but here I have only word. Yeah, students have to write read and classify in here. My word list is who, which, when, or where. For example, this is a wife. This is wife, and this is a who. And you have to classify and write the name. Okay. And I'm going to use a board because I need to explain the grammar rules and perform some examples, something like that. Now I'm gonna tell a little more about the methodologies and strategies that I'm gonna perform in this lesson. In this lesson, I'm gonna perform the audiolingual method, the communicative approach, and the structural approach. And the strategies that I'm gonna use is student thinking time, collaborative teaching strategy, and task-based learning. In the state anticipatory set, I'm gonna choose 2 students and invite them to come to the board and give or tell students one word and they will have to a definition to the whole class. For example, I'm gonna say one student, house, and what students tell the class is a place where live mother, father, and children, and the rest of the students will have to guess. So it's an interesting activity to perform in this lesson. In my teaching input, I'm gonna perform some grammar rules using the board, and we are going to talk about connectors. For example, I'm gonna ask students which connectors we can use to add more information about something. For example, I'm gonna say only one example. Maria is a girl who is beautiful. Students can notice the difference. Then I'm gonna perform another activity. Here I'm gonna give students a worksheet, and then they will have to use a scissors in order to get something like that. It's a piece of this, and they have my word list and name, and they also will have to classify with this card here. It is a person, is a place, or what is this? Right, classify here and write the name. During this activity, I'm gonna walk around the class giving support where is necessary. In the part of the modeling, all activities that we have done in the beginning of the class and the exercises we perform with students will help them to perform the rest of the activities. In the part of the guide practice, I'm gonna give a student some cards. But before doing that, students will have to cut this card. As you can see, in order to get these cards here, 1, 2, 3, 4, they have to cut off, and then they will have to read the contents here. For example, what is a camera? A camera is an instrument that is very helpful to take pictures. Another example, what is a torch? This is what is a torch. Students will have to practice discussions between them and using English as second language. In the step of independence practice, we continue doing some examples using the flashcards. For example, I'm gonna use this picture. I'm gonna ask one student or a volunteer, Mr. Takuri or Mr. Alvarezin, could you give me one example using this picture? One student can say, or Mr. Takuri or Mr. Alvarezin can say, that is a card that my father bought me last week. Yes, this is very helpful to learn relative clauses. We have another. One student can say, we have a backpack. One student can say, that is the backpack that my father gave me in my birthday. It's very interesting. In the part of the assessment, we'll continue doing some examples in the board, and we are gonna to practice and remember some rules to perform relative clauses. Finally, in the part of the clause review and following up, we are gonna do some examples and at home, but before doing that, students, oh, sorry, excuse me, one or two students will make a summary of the main point of how to form the relative clauses. So that is all to teach this lesson. I hope you like my presentation. Thank you so much, teacher. It will be in the next